Hey guys, we are almost done with the school year and I'm excited in a way, and in a way I also feel a little disappointed because it's time to change things up, and that can feel sad when I'm in a good rhythm and I feel like, darn it, that was working really well. But also it's just really exciting to change things. But until summer starts, we're still following the rhythm, which means we've got 2 more months. We're going to be covering animals in the month of March, and we're going to be covering the human body in the month of April. And I know a lot of you continue on in May, and some even go into June, and that's absolutely cool. We will continue doing science, but it won't be this same track. We will change up how we're doing science. We change up how we're doing everything in May, because that's just, everything shifts in the weather and in the attitudes and in the energy and everything. And so I try really hard to shift with it in May, which means we gotta get some stuff done. So this month in March, we're going to be covering animals. Week 1, we're going to do reptiles. Week 2 is amphibians. Week 3 is mammals, and week 4 is fish. So let's just go over what we're doing for each of those. First off, week 1, reptiles. We're gonna start with the question, chameleons' tongues move faster than a jet airplane to catch food. How fast can your tongue reach out and grab something? And don't you know we're going to have to practice that. I'm sure that there will be some things that our kids reach their tongue out to grab, and we'll see if we can time it. I don't know. There are a couple of different books about snakes, and I'm just grabbing these books from our library. You can buy them on Amazon, thrift books, wherever. There are lots and lots of books out there about snakes. And then the video we're watching is actually going to be both snakes and lizards. So if you wanted to get books that covered reptiles and not just snakes, that would be a great thing as well. Then for our activity, we're doing, what does a reptile egg feel like? So for this activity, you take an egg and you submerge it in vinegar, and you have to do this one overnight. This is very important that you know how to do it overnight. It's not hard, but you just have to make sure that you do it the night before. You stick it in, you leave it overnight, and in the morning you pull it out, and it is like squishy and it has pretty much dissolved that outer shell, and so it feels, I imagine it just feels super disgusting. But what that teaches is that's what is an amphibian, I can't say that word. That's what that kind of an egg looks like and feels like versus a bird egg or even a reptile egg, which is going to have a much harder shell. And then the second one is similar in that you're trying to see the difference between a reptile and an amphibian egg. Whew, this is going to be a hard video. Okay, so for the reptile egg, you leave the shell on. These are hard boiled, right? So you hard boil 2 eggs, you leave the shell on one, you peel the shell off the other, and you stick both of them in water or something, I can't remember. I'm going to link it down below. You stick it in a liquid overnight, and then the next morning you look at it and you see which one has been impacted by the water more. And I'll just tell you, it's the amphibian one, because it doesn't have nearly, like, you took the hard shell off, right? So it was more like an amphibian egg, and it soaks the water in, and so it's much more impacted by its surroundings than the hard shell egg, which is just not, it doesn't grow at all. And if you want to make it even more interesting and easy to see, put a couple of drops of food coloring into it, and then you'll be able to see it get bloated with the color as well. So that's going to be awesome. Week 2, oh, heaven help me. Amphibians. Okay, here's a curiosity question. Amphibians live in both water and on land. Their skin is very thin and they can breathe through it. What would be the benefits and the drawbacks of breathing through your skin, especially in water? And that, hopefully that will spur a good conversation there. We've got a book, again, from the library. You can get them from your library or anywhere. It's just called Amphibian by Barry Clark. We're going to watch a video on the frog life cycle. And a lot of the things like the butterfly and the frogs, it's really fascinating to see how something looks so different when it is a baby or when it's just growing versus what it's going to become. And that just has so many applications to life. And even homeschool, you know, when you look at it and you're like, oh my goodness, it looks like a bomb blew off here. It is absolutely ground zero around here. And then what it becomes when it grows up is absolutely confident kids with great knowledge and the ability to navigate the world in really great ways. But wow, do we ever look like a caterpillar right now? So it's all good. We're going to look through watch that video. There's another video on amphibians as well. And then there's a frog life cycle game. And I need to print this out beforehand. And it's just for little kids, and you roll the dice and you move along as the frog grows up into its different stages of growth. Then moving on to week 3, thank goodness. On to mammals. The curiosity question is, you can figure out the age of a whale through its earwax. For real. The layers of wax give a record of the whale's life with the different colors showing different stages of growth. That is so disgusting. And then the question is, can you tell the age of a human by looking at them? For our book, we're going to be having the book called Mammal by Steve Parker. It's an eyewitness series. And then there's a video, fun facts about mammals. Then there's an activity that we're going to be doing, classification. And again, I'll link all of this down below. And in this, the kids cut out the different type of animals and they classify them based on a lot of different criteria. So it just really helps you see how animals are the same and how they're different, but also how we organize things so that when people talk about mammals or birds or vertebrates or invertebrates or whatever, you're able to say, oh, I understand not only what that means, but why we're classifying them like that, because all of creation is just a lot of stuff. And so it helps to break it down a little bit. So we're going to be doing that for our activity. And week 4, we're going over fish. Here's a curiosity question. Fish sleep, but since they have no eyelids, they can watch for danger even when they're resting. And can I just pause and say, how great is it that we can just sleep and not watch for danger? That would be so exhausting. Anyway, how long can you keep your eyes open? And I hope nobody gets hurt doing that. And why don't fish need eyelids? Okay, the book is just called Fish. These are super creatively named. This is a DK eyewitness book. There's a video called Fish, and then our activity is how fish gills work. So here's how you do it. You have 2 jars and you fill them with water. And in one jar, you put either coffee grounds or dirt, whatever you have around the house, and just sort of stir it up. And on the second one, you put either a coffee filter or a paper towel, and you stick a rubber band over that so it's held tight. And so the one that has the dirt in it, that represents water, and the dirt represents the oxygen that is in the water. We can't see oxygen, so this is just a way to make it a lot more visual. So then you take it, and you're going to pour this dirty water into the other glass. And you're going to use the filter on top as the gills, because the gills are going to catch the oxygen. So you pour it slowly on, and you get to see that although some of it goes through, most of it is going to be caught by that filter or those gills. That is how fish breathe. That you've got water going right through their gills, but what they're doing with that water is they're stopping the oxygen and they're holding on to that. So that's going to be our activity for fish. And every month we do a field trip associated with science. I know that I mentioned that at the beginning, and then very seldom have I mentioned what we do. This month we're going to a zoo so that we can go see all the different animals. Hopefully we can time it in such a way that the animals will be awake, because a lot of times when we go to the zoo, they're just sleeping, which is sort of interesting, but nowhere near as cool as if they're up and moving around. So that's going to be our field trip that plays into our science, and that wraps it up for the science for the month of March. I will see you guys on the next one, but you guys should really know that being a mom and being a dad really matters, and you're doing a much better job than you think you are. Keep it up. I'll see you on the next one.